So we're given a quadratic equation here, and the way I know this is a quadratic is because the x has an exponent of 2 on it. So the x with an exponent of 2 tells me that this is a quadratic equation or a quadratic function. So the standard form of quadratic, let's look at that real quick. That's y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Now, one important thing to know about the graphs of quadratics is that they look like U's, which you can see from your answer choices here, and they either are upside down or right side up. So they either open upward or downward. And what determines that is the A value. So if you have a positive A value, then it's going to open upwards like that. And if you have a negative A value, then it's going to open downwards like so. So if we look at our problem, it's negative x squared. So our A value is -1. So this is going to open downward. So that eliminates answer B. So it's either A, C, or D because those are both opening downward. Now, the other thing we can look at is the axis of symmetry, and that's the line, the vertical line that splits right down the middle of the U. So it splits it in half. So the axis of symmetry here is at -1. The axis of symmetry on this one is at +1. And again, we said B is not correct. And D also has an axis of symmetry at -1. So A and D have an axis of symmetry at -1. C has one of +1. So how can we find out what that is from the function? So the way you can find the axis of symmetry is using this formula, x equals -b, so the opposite of your b value, over 2 times a. So in our problem, the b value, so that's the coefficient of x, is -2. So it's the opposite of that. So I'm going to put +2 and then over 2 times the a value, which the a value is the coefficient of x squared. Let me point this out. So here's where I'm getting the a value from. So that's there, which is -1. And the b value I got from here, which is right there, and that's -2. Okay? So the a value is -1. So 2 times -1. So I've got 2 over -2, which is -1. And that's my axis of symmetry. So that gives me the axis of, I'm not going to write out symmetry. I'm just going to put SYMM. There we go. I don't know why that didn't want to write. So my axis of symmetry is at -1. And so that means that we're down to either A here that has an axis of symmetry of -1 or D. So we need something to figure out which one it is. There's a couple ways we could go here. Um, let's let's find the vertex. So the vertex is the coordinates of this point right here. So the top of the U here, that's the vertex. This one has a vertex at -1, comma, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, -1, 4. Let me put my glasses on to make sure I'm saying that right. Yep, it's -1, 4. And this one has the vertex at -1, -2. Sorry, those are so hard to see. All right, so how can I figure out what that is? Well, we have the x value of the axis of symmetry, and all we need is the y value. And we're trying to figure out, is it a y value of 4 or is it a y value of -2? And the way we do that is by taking this x value and substituting it into the equation for x, because that will give us the y coordinate of the vertex. So let's look at this. So I'm going to take the equation. So I'll just rewrite the equation real quick. Y equals -x squared minus 2x minus 3. And I'm going to substitute in -1 for x. So that gives me negative 1 squared minus 2 times negative 1, and then minus 3. Now, be careful with this here. There are not parentheses around this. So this is x squared, and then you multiply it times negative 1. So you're not squaring the negative sign. So I'm going to do 1 squared, and then it's going to become negative. So that's going to be negative 1. And then I have minus 2 times negative 1. So that's going to be plus 2, a negative times a negative, and then minus 3. So this comes out to negative 2. And so my vertex is at, the x value is negative 1. That was our axis of symmetry. And then the y value is negative 2. So negative 1, negative 2. So that means that A is going to be our answer. Now, there's a lot of information here. So I would really encourage you to go back and watch this again. If you had questions, there's a lot of stuff here. I will point out one other thing that we could have done to figure out which of these answers was right. So remember, we had it down to A and D, and to figure it out, we found out what the coordinates of the vertex were. The other thing we could have done is figured out what the y-intercept is, where it crosses the y-axis. And you can see this one has a y-intercept of negative 3, and this one has a y-intercept of positive 3. Now, the y-intercept occurs where the x value is 0. So here's the x value. Where it's 0, that gives you the y-intercept. So to find the y-intercept, you can just simply plug in 0 for x into the function here up at the top. These will go away because they're both 0. So I'd have 0 minus 3. So the y-intercept is at negative 3. And so again, here that confirms answer A because it's got the y-intercept at negative 3. All right. So a lot of information. Go back, watch it again if you need to. Keep it up, keep practicing, and you will master the math.